10-minute tiffin, one of my favourites. No baking, simple to make, stores well, stacks well, travels well, great for lunch boxes, and made of chocolate. What more can you ask? So you can pause on the recipe page, but I'll also be talking you through the ingredients. So first of all, you put your margarine or butter, whichever you choose to use, followed by your sugar. Use a good heavy bowl that's going to be easy to work with, and plenty of space so that when you're mixing it up you're not splashing about. Then you want to add your cocoa. And as you can see, that's it, your margarine or butter, your sugar, your cocoa, and then your syrup. Now with the syrup, it's best if it's a bit warm, so if you can warm it in the microwave for a second or two, it does make it easier to pour from this cup. Now you've got these ingredients in the bowl, you want to give them a quick mix up, but as you can see, the butter, margarine and the sugar things need melting and amalgamating together. So you stand them over a bowl of hot water. Best if it's not boiling, and it's just gentle heat, and you'll find that's more than sufficient to melt them. And while you're doing that, which takes a couple of minutes, you want to sort of do the same with your chocolate. Take a small bowl and break your chocolate into the cubes. I've used about half of this size bar to cover this small portion of tiffin. I'd rather make the tiffin in small portions more regularly than have a big tub full of it going stale. So just stand that bowl over another little bowl of hot water, and you'll find that you don't need to apply any more heat, and that will gently melt away. And the bonus to that is that the slower and more gentle the melt, the more of the natural shine of chocolate that you'll keep. So then by this time your main mixture has melted, and as you could see, it was a really lovely, smooth, shiny chocolate mix. Now's the stage at which you can add any chopped nuts or dried fruits that you happen to have and want to use. I personally use some chopped walnuts, some sultanas and some glacé cherries chopped into quarters here, but you really can use any you want or none at all. It's entirely up to you. It's beautiful just the same without. Give these a good stir around and make sure they're coated in the mixture, and then add your crushed biscuits. These will absorb the liquid, and this is how come you end up with a solid that you can cut into squares, because these are dry by nature and so absorb the liquid. And as you can see, it makes quite a rich, dark, attractive looking mixture in the bowl. You can use any biscuits you happen to have for this, and if you do have some that have been open and are starting to sort of go a little soft at the top, you can always pop them in an oven for a couple of minutes on low and they'll go back crisp, and that's a great way to use them up. Now it's time to put the mixture into a tray for setting. Now a well greased tray will be more than good enough, but these paper cake liners do make life easy, so I tend to use one of those. And what you want to do is scrape your mixture in, leaving none behind, and then you need to be smoothing it out right into the corners as best you can, and then you want to pat it flat with the back of the spoon. You want a really, really good firm base on which to pour your melted chocolate, so that when it has set and you go to cut it, you'll see that sort of nice crisp division between the chocolate and the mixture underneath, and that's quite an important part for the look of the dish. You want to pop that in the fridge for 15-20 minutes, maybe a little more if you can, until it's set, firmly set, because the better set it is, the easier it's going to be for you to cut it into neat squares. So when it comes out, it should be something like this. The benefit of these paper cases you're now seeing, because you can just lift it clear of the tray, spread the paper out, it catches any crumbs, and you've got a nice, neat, easy to work surface. So what I have to do for this, the chocolate is set firm. And so you get a knife and you stand it in some boiling hot water. And the heat of the metal is sufficient just to melt through the chocolate, that small amount, to allow you to cut it neatly. And in between each cut, or every couple of cuts, you want to pop your knife back in to reheat up. And as you can see, it literally is like a hot knife through butter, only a hot knife through chocolate. And this doesn't really take long at all to do, probably maybe 30 seconds to a minute to cut them in. And it's quite a satisfying thing to do, actually. So here we are, looking at the size that we've got to work with, and this is where you decide how many pieces that you want to cut it into, based on how big a portion you would normally put out for yourself or others, or for fitting in a section in a lunchbox, or any other criteria like that that might affect your decision. And I find that this amount of mixture cuts into 8 decent squares. Remember, it's quite a dense and rich mixture, so you wouldn't actually enjoy a giant portion. It's a case of a taste is as good as a feast with this. And there we have it, cut into 8 neat sections. So it's time to move the pan and the knife away. Their job is done. And then all that's left really to do is to plate it up and enjoy a nice piece for yourself for all your hard work. Why not? Well, my kettle is on to do just that, and I hope yours is too. So before I leave you to go do just that, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I sincerely hope that you make them and you enjoy them as much as me and my family do. And if you like them, consider subscribing and even maybe pressing the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any more of these lovely 10-minute tasty ideas for you and your family. Thanks again for watching, and I'll leave you now to enjoy one last look at this plate of chocolate yumminess. And while I just remind you that I made these dairy free, but all it would take to make them dairy and gluten free is to simply use gluten free biscuits, ones you made yourselves, ones that you bought in the store. And rough costings for this, I've been adding up the cost of the ingredients, and I think each of these squares works out about 15 pence. I think that makes them well worth the effort of making them, especially when there's no baking involved.